Hey everyone, it's Cathy Zielske. Welcome back to my channel and the craft/dining room. Halloween is coming. Well, I mean, eventually. It's gonna work, the calendar. It goes around. I'm obsessed with Halloween. I am obsessed with ghosts. Not real ghosts, because that would totally suck if I had one living in my house. Fingers crossed. But cute ghosts are totally my jam. And Gina K Designs has the coolest little Halloween set, and I cannot wait to share ghost cards with you that I promise they're not scary at all. My card projects are coming up next. Halloween is actually one of my favorite holidays, strange as that may be, and I absolutely love the classic Halloween colors. I love cute ghosts, right? We're not going for the scary stuff. We're not about that life. No, we're about the cuteness. So these are the cards that I'm going to be creating in today's video, and I don't know about you. I think they're pretty cute. So, shall we dive in and look at the products? We shall. The stamp set is called Best Witches. Come on now. It's got all these little things that you can stamp, right? The backgrounds and the outlines. We've got darling greetings. We've got cute little fill-ins for faces and smiles, and I love that. There's the classic triad, right? I've got my Gina K ink, and I've got some black onyx as well. And I'll have all the supplies linked below the video. I've got some embossing ink, a few powders. Wasn't sure what I was going to use. And there are coordinating dies for this set, so you can cut out all of those sweet shapes. So let's get started with card one. I've got one piece of Gina K's heavy base weight white cardstock, and it's trimmed to 5.5 by 4 1/4. What I'm going to do is stamp 3 ghost backgrounds. Now I'm starting it in the center here, just so that it's easier to move the paper. I'm going to take my first color, which is key lime, ink up the stamp really well, all right, get the coating on there, and bring in my, well, mine's called a Debbie tool, but it's modeled after Gina's Chucky. I'm going to press that down, let that ink transfer to the paper, and ghost number 1 has been placed. I'll clean off the stamp with my stamp chamois, and then I'm going to turn this again because what I want to do is just reposition the paper so that I can stamp another ghost in a perfect alignment, right? Just spaced out a little bit. That's one of the fun things about having a stamp positioner like the Misty, is if you want to stamp a row of something, you move your paper and not your stamp. I still think that's remarkable. I don't do it that often. And this has reminded me that, by moving your paper around and leaving your stamp in place, you can make some spooky magic. Sweet Mango is the orange, and now we're going to finish up here with Gina K's Wild Lilac, which is a great purple. And there we have the classic Halloween triad. If you put these on a color wheel, they would sit at thirds, right? They would be exactly at thirds, and that's how come they work. Now I'll take the outline portion, and I'm going to purposely offset this. I absolutely love the look of offset outline stamping. I think it's cool. It introduces kind of an element of whimsy and fun, and that way you don't have to line anything up perfectly when you are going for this imperfect offset. But again, I'll use my Misty tool, work through the same process until I have 3 outlines. So the outlines, again, are all perfectly lined up. And there's our cute little whimsical ghost bodies. I'll use the same approach with stamping for the face. And I actually put the eyes down, but then I decided to just apply the little mouth on the Misty door because it was so tiny it was hard for me to get it to perfectly stand up on its own. But again, taking the black onyx ink and stamping cute but spooky ghost faces. And again, I'll move my paper so that I have all 3 faces perfectly lined up. So it's very subtle, right? You have this underlying symmetry and alignment with the offset. I think it's super fun. Isn't that cute? Now for the greeting. I want to do Hello Beautiful. But I know from experience that when I try to line up stamps, I don't always get them lined up. So I brought in a piece of scrap paper, inked it up just with some Sweet Mango to see about my placement, and surely enough, I didn't like the gap. So here's what I'm going to do. I'm just going to stamp the Beautiful, right? Just going to pick that one up. I'm going to prep the cardstock here with some anti-static embossing magic powder and ink up the stamp with the clear embossing ink. Now I'll stamp that down, give it nice even pressure, not too hard. I don't want to smush it down too hard there. And I'm going to add my powder. I'm going with the gold. Going with the gold powder here and tapping it off. So now I can actually see Beautiful. And before I heat emboss, I'm going to position the hello, pick that up, right? And then go ahead and stamp that in the clear embossing ink so that I get a better placement. Now I won't really know if I did nail it until I sprinkle on the powder, and of course the other little stamped area with the embossing powder, that won't be harmed at all, right? Because it's just, if powder comes off during the stamping process, it's just going to go right back on because the embossing ink stays sticky, and there you go. That's the gap I wanted. I mean, it's subtle, but it makes a difference, and you can stamp them separately. I'll melt that powder, and look at that beautiful, fun shine. I love gold for Halloween projects. Now I'm going to take Gina's Master Layouts 1 set. I love this set, so all-purpose. I'm going to cut one of the panels with the smaller of the two panel dies and some black Onyx cardstock for the mat. Because I'm channeling my inner Gina K here. I'm putting a thin black mat on this piece, but I think it will look really good because of the, the black outline here on the ghosts. So I'll cut these out, and they're going to layer together like it was meant to be. Isn't that cute? I've got some wild lilac cardstock here, and this is going to be a landscape card. So it is US A2, but it will be 5.5 wide by 4.25 tall. And wait until you see just how great, I don't know why the color is shifting here. I promise it's not that magical, but it's going to look so good with the purple ghost. So I'm adding tape to the back of the ghost panel, lining that up and mounting it onto that black panel, and then I'm going to pop up the whole thing on the wild lilac card base, and look at that. Isn't that cute? Oh, I love it so much. And I think that black mat really ties it all together, right? Oh, okay, let's move on. For card 2, I'm going to do a similar process, but this time I'm actually going to leave the outlines off of my ghosts. So I'm stamping the same 3 bodies in the same 3 colors using the same misty move your paper technique. But they don't have to be perfect because I'm going to be die cutting each one of these out. But I just thought, for the sake of time, we're going to use the same process. So doing the same thing with the faces, right? Getting those cute but somewhat spooky faces onto the ghosts. And now the ghosts are good to go. So I'm going to set those aside. And I'm going to work on the panel that I'm going to put the ghosts on. Love the little spider web here. So I know I'm going to trim this panel down using one of the Master Layouts dies, but I thought I'm going to do opposing corner spider webs. Thought that would be cute. So I'm putting in some tape just so I remember where my paper goes. I have Misty Creative Corners, but I don't know where they are. I grabbed some Slate ink from Gina's collection, and I'm going to stamp it first just on that scrap piece of paper because I wanted to see what the color looked like. I felt like it was going to be a little dark. I didn't want black, right? So I decided to try a classic stamp off, right? Stamp on there lightly, pick it up, throw your paper, and then press it down again. I just wanted to see what this looked like, and actually, that's what I'm looking for. I'm looking for something ghosty and screened back a little, right? So once I practiced that a few times, I felt like I was good to go. So stamp off on the scrap, press, and then I was giving it really good pressure because I wanted to get all that ink that remained on the stamp. A little messy, a little perfect. I love it. Flipping that paper just so I know where the perfectly opposing corner is, and repeat the process. Ink it up, stamp once on the scrap lightly, pick it up, and now do the stamp off on the panel that I'm going to be using for my card. And then off camera, I'm going to use one of those two Master Layouts panel dies and trim this down. The next step, after the trimming, I'm going all in here with spooky. So I'm smushing a little slate ink onto an acrylic block. And what I'm going to do is just splatter using my fan brush. This is a number 4 brush. Wet down the ink, and splatter right here into this little box. I keep this box for spray glue and splatter, and I just throw in a fresh piece of copy paper underneath. But look at that. It's the perfect messy box, and that's just a little more spooky, my friends. I'll die cut all 3 of the ghosts out, and I love the white outline on them. So that's why I decided not to go with black, because I really love that look. So I'll cut those out as well. And I'm going to use some key lime for the other panel, and I cut that with the larger of the Master Layouts dies. So that's the arrangement, and I thought Happy Halloween would be perfect, kind of nestled in there, just like that, kind of wiggling the ghosts around until I thought, yeah, this is working. So I'll put this back in my MISTI, pick up Happy Halloween, get my cute little ghosts out. One of them is going to be popped up, so we create a little dimension. I'll use my embossing magic to powder it up, to remove static and anything else that might grab powder. Ink it up with the embossing ink and press. Not too hard, right, because it's kind of a delicate script. Sprinkle on the powder, let that set, and let's do it one more time, just for good measure, just to make sure it didn't tap too much off. And Happy Halloween. I'll melt that powder, work my way across, and then I'm going to have a gorgeous golden Happy Halloween. Isn't that cute? Love it. Again, love gold for Halloween. I'm adding tape to the back of that panel and gluing it right down onto the key lime panel for that lovely nested little frame look. Oh, I love it. So cute. But here's the thing, I thought maybe white would be cute for this card. I was trying to, branch out, but as soon as I put it on black, I'm like, no, this is your choice. It's Halloween. Come on, Kath, don't go with the white card base. So I'm popping that right up onto the black Onyx card base. And I'm going to position ghost number 1, well, he's in the middle, but I call him number 1 because he has to pop up first, and then I'll just use tape to position the other 2. So that way, you have a little dimension, right? And the popped up one is also the same color as the key lime matte, and I just think there's a nice visual connection there. And that's card 2. Seriously, it's so fun. So I have this, right? That's a little more stepped up, I guess, there they are side by side. But then I thought, I don't want to stop. I'm obsessed with ghosts. And so we're going to move on. I did a ghost, just one little guy. And I wanted to try this technique that I've seen Gina do a lot, and that is creating some backgrounds just by dragging ink pads across your cardstock, right? So I took the slate pad. Now it goes down and it seems almost like you're looking at a black ink, but this ink dries back much more gray and sort of charcoal. And so I knew you can already see it there, right? I had let it dry for a second. So again, using Master Layouts, I'm going to do a black scallop layer and this funky little streaky layer for a little home, if you will, for my ghost. Because I thought, isn't that cute? It's kind of like a portrait or a cameo for a ghost. I just was kind of obsessed with this. So then I started taking some of the other ink pads, right, and just doing the same sort of swipe technique because I thought maybe this would make a really cool panel to home these elements. But then I thought, yeah, I don't know. So I did this double and I didn't like it at all. But then I grabbed some glitter cardstock and I thought, that is the one. That is what you're looking for. Sometimes you just got to play, right? You got to try some things. You know what I like to say. It's just paper. Well, the glitter cardstock isn't paper, so I like to know what I'm doing with that before I, get a little wild. But I loved the look of that. That was working. So I needed another panel, right? So again, doing the same technique with the slate pad, just dragging it, lightly across the cardstock. You know, you press a little hard at times, a little lighter at others. It gives you almost this sort of wood grain look. It's so easy to do this with any pad you have. And once that is drying back a bit, I'm going to cut it out with, again, one of the master layout panels, the smaller of the two, right? We'll add glue, we'll mount that onto a black layer, and this whole piece is going to get glued right onto the white card base. I think that's just funky and fun. And then that fits perfectly over those as well, because it's all sized to work together in Master Layouts 1. Love it. Then we're gonna pop up our little, I just call it a cameo for lack of a better word, right? Pop that up in the center, and then the ghost will go right in the center. Now I struggled for a while though. I was trying to think, well, where do I put a greeting? What am I gonna do here? Well, here's the thing. You don't always have to have a greeting on the front of every card, right? That's what we like to say the insides of the cards are for. So, grab my little Make Art Station. This is the mini one from Wendy Vecchi. And it's really nice for if you're just going to quickly stamp something on the inside, it'll hold your card open for you. So I just mounted the stamp right onto the clear acrylic block. Going to ink this up, right, with some, what color did I use here? Now, oh, yeah, just the black Onyx. And then, because it's such a nice firm surface, stamping it down, letting the ink transfer, and there you go. There you go. So you got a Happy Halloween inside, and it just kind of finishes the card. I think this is really fun. I think this card is super fun with no greeting on the front. It's so formal. I love it. And that's the finished card. So those are a look at the 3 cards that I created with this Best Witches set. I only went with the ghosts. I cannot wait to do more with this, especially because, again, Halloween, it's kind of my jam. Thanks so much for watching. Again, you can find all of the supplies linked below in the information box, and I will see you back here with another card project soon. Thanks so much for watching today. I would love to have you become a subscriber to my YouTube channel. And if you do subscribe, be sure to hit the gray bell below the video so that you don't miss the next time I post. Here are a couple other videos that you might be interested in watching. Thanks so much and have a great day.